What up? Mully is back, and I've got another DPP OU match for you all today that I had back in 2013 against bizarman. This is a player that I ran into multiple times on the DPP OU showdown ladder that year, and I'll be honest, we played each other before a couple hours before this match actually. So a lot of my commentary is going to be based off of that. I'm hoping I can win the information war and that bizarman won't remember my team, so I can tie it up against him, because the first time we played each other I lost. But I am using the same squad that you guys have seen in the past several uploads. I still have some games with this team, but I'm at the point now where I'm gonna start switching it up as far as teams go. I don't want to ramble on, so let's jump right in. I lead off with Fortress, bizarman leads with Heatran. I immediately have to switch out to maintain the ability to spike up, and maybe even more importantly, spin hazards away later. I go to Gyarados expecting Stealth Rock to be set up and rocks do come down. I go right for the waterfall here to scout what my opponent's response will be. I can't really play around Explosion since only Fourier resists it, and I just lose too much momentum and bizarman would just get free damage. The more common switch happens though and Metagross gets revealed. Fourier is my best initial switch for any Metagross if I don't know the set yet, so I go to her and end up dodging a scary Thunder Punch. No leftovers recovery or life or recoil, but Fourier still takes 30%, which tells me Metagross is rocking a Choice Band. I know from the last time we played that bizarman has Gengar on this team. As much as I need to get a rapid spin off, I know it'll get blocked here, so I set up the first layer with spikes instead, and sure enough Gengar comes in. Things get tricky here because this Gengar destroyed my team last time. I have to switch because I know this is a substitute 3 attack set with Life Orb, and Fourier can't go down to Hidden Power Fire before trying to spin Stealth Rock away. So I switch to Raikou, and bizarman subs up to my surprise. Does he remember my team as well? I'm going to have to stay in with Raikou to break this sub, unfortunately, as nothing on my team really appreciates a Life Orb stab Shadow Ball from Gengar. I go for Thunderbolt and take a huge chunk, but survive. That BKC EV spread coming through for me. And it's time to start the process of wearing this thing down. I go to Abomasnow to set up Hail on the expected sub or Shadow Ball. The former happens, and I need to get as much residual damage going as possible, so Gengar goes down to Life Orb recoil ASAP. It's time to whip a Nene around this thing. I reveal Flygon on the expected Hidden Power Fire, as I know bizarman won't risk missing the Focus Blast, and that is indeed the play, knocking off another 16.25%. And I U-turn out and get a crit, but even with double damage this gen and me running Adamant Nature, it still can't ever break even a sub from Gengar. Because Raikou took so much damage and I remember what else is on bizarman's team, it's almost impossible for me to try and set up a sweep with it, so I fodder it, and I'm going to bring Fourier back in on the free switch. And you know what's coming. I'm going to bait this thing to go for Hidden Power Fire again and hope for the free KO. So I'm going to double switch back to Flygon, and bizarman thankfully takes the bait, and Gengar is actually going to end up going down, which is huge because now I've got a Scarf Flygon that's not locked into any move yet. But unfortunately, Vaporeon is going to get shown here, which I can't really do much damage to yet. So I'm going to go ahead and U-turn out, which was the worst case scenario, and go back to Fortress to hopefully at least get a rapid spin off to free up Abomasnow and Gyarados. Thankfully, Vaporeon goes for Wish. Now, as nice as it would be to get a second layer of spikes here, that is way too greedy, and rapid spin is top priority. So I'm going to go ahead and get the spin off here. There's no crit on the Surf, so I am able to actually get it off and spin the Stealth Rocks away. I'm going to go ahead and fodder off Fortress to get the free switch now as opposed to later. bizarman decides to go ahead and finish my Fortress off with Ice Beam instead in case I went to Gyarados. This was a bit of a misplay, however, because now that confirms there is no Hidden Power Electric, and I never really saw Vaporeon set in our last game. Abomasnow's a decent switch in, but Heatran just comes back in to set up Stealth Rock unless I double switch. So I actually go to Gyarados on the free switch. I go ahead and Dragon Dance up to try and set up in this Vaporeon's face, but Metagross ends up coming back in. So here I decide to make a play that in hindsight was ultra conservative. +1 Adamant Waterfall is almost a guaranteed one-hit KO from where Metagross is, and I decide not to take it and reveal my last, which is Nidoqueen on the expected Thunder Punch. Now I'll have to hope Gyara gets another chance. So I go ahead and set up Stealth Rock, And the one mon that never got revealed in our last game finally shows its face, Zapdos. So I guess the fact that Vaporeon had Ice Beam over Hidden Power Electric should have tipped me off, but I know I didn't see it at the time. Since Nidoqueen is healthy, I want to be able to wear Vaporeon down over time, so I scout the set by getting my first layer of Toxic Spikes down here. Heat Wave gets revealed, and this thing is Life Orb too. Nothing but straight up power on bizarman's team, pulling no punches. So I'm going to go to Flygon, which was a huge misplay, maybe the biggest one of the game. Bizarman does go for Heat Wave again and gets the KO, and it was a max damage roll, but it didn't matter. I had no business bringing Flygon in from Nidoqueen, because even if it was a minimum damage roll, Hail would knock Flygon out. So I bring Nidoqueen back in, as that's the only thing I have to stand up to this monster. Zapdos is not in range of Ice Shard yet, and things are not looking good. So I just click Fire Blast at this point just to get damage on this thing and try to get it in Ice Shard range. But Roost gets shown unsurprisingly. Nidoqueen being slower is my only saving grace. The slower speed does help me out here, however, as Blizzard goes for Heat Wave instead of stalling my Fire Blast out, and my plan is already set in motion though, and Nidoqueen is staying in until she goes down, which she does to Hail. Now the Fire Blast coupled with the other residual damage puts Zapdos in range of an Ice Shard KO. So I brought in a Abomasnow, snatched the opportunity, and Heatran comes in on the free switch. I have to try and win with Gyarados now. The plan is to stay in with the Abomasnow as well. So I go for Ice Shard to get chip damage in before going down, and Fire Blast misses. And I decide to switch up here and go for Blizzard because Heatran is already in range of a one-hit KO from Gyarados' Waterfall. But Fire Blast connects this time. It's here that I realize with hazards down, I can KO Metagross with an unboosted Waterfall. So to make sure I don't go down to Explosion, I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Waterfall now and take the KO. But Metagross is going to come in on the free switch here, and it's all up to Gyarados basically. Knowing I outspeed, I'm going to go for Waterfall here. And I'm going to get the clean KO thanks to the hazards. And I know that Bizarman's last Pokemon is actually Flygon, just based on our last match. And that she would come out here, as Vaporeon is a sitting duck versus Gyarados, bar a freeze from Ice Beam. So here I'm going to decide to go for Bounce to try for Paralysis, as even after a Dragon Dance, Gyarados is still outsped by Scarf Flygon. Bizarman locked in the Stone Edge and misses, which is big. So I have a chance. I'm going to come back down on the Bounce. And I also miss, which I could not afford at all. And I can't do anything at this point but try again. Because as I said, Dragon Dance is not going to allow me to outspeed Flygon. So I go for Bounce again. And of course, this time the Stone Edge connects, signaling the 2-hit KO. And I'm not going to be able to PP stall this Flygon out of Stone Edge either, unless I get a couple more misses in a row. But what I really need is for this Bounce to hit and get the Paralysis. Bounce connects, but no Paralysis, unfortunately. And the Stone Edge is going to once again find its target, and that is going to be the game. I had the element of surprise on my side this game, but a few key mistakes ended up costing me another loss in the end. I'm now 0-2 against Bizarman, but this is one of a pretty long string of battles we had back in 2013, so I will definitely get another chance to try and get a win. Anyway, hope you guys still enjoyed. If you guys like what you saw, hit that like button just below the video. If you didn't like it, then hit the dislike button, but let me know in the comments as to why. If you don't want to miss the future stuff on the horizon, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Links to all the social clubs that I hang out at are in the description box below. Twitter, Google+, Twitch, all that good stuff. Anyway, stay tuned for more, and until then, I'm out. Take care, guys. Peace.